Feel incredible!
It's not a cartoon. It's anime. Yeah.
That one felt great.
We are back.
We
for
are.
most of us.
Hoorah. No, we're all here.
Yeah, we're all here. The squad is back in the studio, y'all. Shit. Welcome to another episode of Animeshun. Myself, Brennan, Rob,
Hey.
and Mr. Stick.
Oh, it's Plank Ice.
It's Plank Ice.
Woo!
Yeah.
Mr. Stick.
You know what this is, man. We're the Animation Podcast. You know what we do. We review anime, we review movies, we do one-off, we do stuff like that. Actually, today is a very special day for us because we're starting a brand new format, y'all.
We hope you like it.
We hope y'all like it, and if you don't, we're going to probably still continue to do it.
Yeah.
This is because this is a dope format to us, and you know, Rob came to us with this, so man, we're super excited about this.
So you know where to place the blame. This
Good
guy.
or bad, Rob takes the blame.
Exactly. Give a quick shout out to Gadget Geekery. She gave me this shirt. She
Hey,
Very nice.
you
It's
know,
nice to know.
s-
Wait,
show
doesn't it
some
seem
love.
like she would have gave that to Rob instead of you?
Well, he was on the show.
Yeah, I was on her show.
He was a guest.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was in my feelings about that, wasn't I?
Yeah, because
Yeah, you were.
and your feelings being a little hoe.
That's
What
all right.
else
You
is
know,
new?
But this
thought we
this,
was cool, Q.
this week we finished up some anime. This is gonna be our first week doing this format, and we had to review an anime movie called Howl's Moving Castle, y'all. Howl's Moving Castle. I don't know if y'all seen it. Let us know in the comments section. So Brennan, you want to give us some little factual?
Are we using this yet?
No,
you wanna
not
talk
yet.
about the-
No,
you
you
wanna-
just hit us with the facts, man.
You want to talk about the format or anything, or like how we're doing it, or just do it?
No, we can talk about that when we get there.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So,
Let's experience it. How about that?
all right, you know,
Go ahead.
catch him outside.
He's right.
All right. So, Howl's Moving Castle is actually originally a book. The book was written in 1986 by Deanna Wynne Jones, and it's a trilogy. The first one is called, obviously, Howl's Moving Castle. The second one is called, nope, that's not it. Hold on a second. I had it up, and then I lost it. Either way, doesn't really matter.
Dropping
It's a
the ball in a new format already. Working out the kinks, people. That's what we're doing. We're working out the kinks.
No, I can't let him have that one because he always do this.
Ouch. But either way, she wrote this as part of a trilogy. All three books. The first one was written in 1986. The second one was written in 1990. And curiously, the third was written in 2008.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's a big jump between
Yeah,
the
she's
third.
on her George R.R. Martin bullshit. Just waiting a decade to put a fucking book out.
Every time I hear his name, I get like
Game of Thrones.
Yep.
pain.
Yeah.
Pain with the final season. But the book had won a bunch of awards, a lot of awards, and because of that, Robert, what's his name? Studio Ghibli said they want to take it on. And originally, the guy who actually directed this is a super famous Studio Ghibli director, Hayao Miyazaki. But he actually wasn't the first person that was brought on to do this.
Mm-hmm.
The first person was a guy who's known from his work with toy animation named Mamoru Hosoda.
They do good work over there.
Yeah,
Heard of
they
him.
do. Toy animation is super, super famous. And he's known really, really well for his works everywhere. He did a lot of animation. As a director, he worked on the Digimon movie, which came out in 2000. He worked on the One Piece film called Baron Amaterasu and the Secret Island, The Girl That Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Wolf Children. But he presented his ideas of how to be able to turn this very complex book into a movie, and Studio Ghibli was just like, nah, try again. And he did it multiple times. And they were just like, no, you obviously don't understand what we're about at Studio Ghibli, so try again. And he was just like, y'all can kick rocks. And he's like, they were so fun. That's so funny, guys. You can kick it too. So that didn't happen. All that was happening in 2001. So they shelved the movie for 2 years. And then Hayao Miyazaki read the book. And after reading the book, he really was fascinated with the idea of the castle moving. And he actually, in the book, the castle is actually described very differently than it's in the movie, and I'll get back to that. But that was one of the biggest things for him, is that the way the castle was moving and all that, so he wanted to do it. So in 2004 is when it actually came out, and this is one of the most financially successful Japanese films of all time. 230 mil in the box office, which is crazy. The most, does anybody know the most successful Japanese film of all time? It's also Studio Ghibli. I'll give you that clue.
Okay.
Princess
Mononoke.
My Neighbor Totoro.
Spirited Away.
That one comes up a lot too.
Cameron had it. I saw him in the corner. He knew what it was. And so this is a very classic Studio Ghibli film because of the producer is Toshio Suzuki. He did a lot of the other Studio Ghibli films. He was the president of Studio Ghibli at one point, not anymore. And obviously Hayao Miyazaki, super famous for it. Interestingly enough, this movie won a lot of awards. It won the 2004 61st Venice Film Festival Award for Technical Achievement. It won the Mayachiné Film Awards Best Japanese Movie Overall. It won the Excellence Prize in the Japanese Media Arts Festival. And the Tokyo Anime Award Festival, it won the Animation of the Year, Best Director, Best Voice Actor, Actress, Best Music. And in the Maui Film Festival, it won the Audience Award, as well as the Nebula Award in 2007 for, curiously, the best script.
And well decorated.
Right. It's a very, very, very well decorated film. And it took a lot to make. I think it took him a little over a year to do it. But obviously it made a lot of money. And one of the biggest things that I'd like to ask, actually, do you guys think I should talk about the differences between this and the novel after we go through? Because this is something that was really interesting to me when I was reading it. I can get through it quickly, but I feel like that comes better after you give your summary. Because there are some stark differences between the book and the movie. Because the book was extremely complex, and they had to figure out a lot of ways to take a very complex thing and make it into a 2-hour-long movie, which was whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for this. Okay. It's like I said, it's part of Studio Ghibli, and a lot of people consider this actually one of the lesser titles of the Studio Ghibli lineup, because it's gonna look great if it's coming from them. Everybody knows that. But some of them are more famous than others. This one has made a lot of money. It's won a lot of awards. But when it comes to fanfare, this one probably has some of the least.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Brennan, for all that, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Real quick, go ahead, Ice. Get what you got to do out the way, man.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, even though I missed the stick, that doesn't deny the fact that this is the greatest fucking anime podcast in the entire world. The entire world.
Thanks, Ice.
All right, appreciate that, Ice. All right, Stick.
I think that was a really funny timing for that, though, Keenan. I'm gonna point that out. It's because it's like, all right, Brennan, do your thing, and I'm like, go through this like huge thing. I'm just like, yo, here's when it was made. Here's how much money it was. This whole thing. Ice. Okay, now it's your turn. This is the greatest. All right, thank you, Ice.
I mean, I think it worked. You dropped knowledge, and then you backed it up.
Bam, exactly. I'll set it up earlier next time if I feel like it. Anyways, we're going to go through a...
What'd you say, Ice?
Go ahead.
Over there supporting his whole ass.
All right, now real quick, we're going to go through a quick summary. Rob's going to knock us through that real quick, man. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, just going to get through the story. I'm actually going to slide my headphones off because the lag has thrown me. So this story takes place in a fictional England, the time similar to our early 1900s. Think Full Metal Alchemist, but that's pretty much where the similarities stop.
Yes.
Our character is a hardworking but plain young woman named Sophie who helps run her family's hat shop. On her way to meet up with her sister, she's stopped by two soldiers who get a little too forward, and she's soon rescued by the enigmatic wizard Howl, who uses his magic to send them away. Unfortunately, he's also being followed by blobby monsters sent by the powerful Witch of the Waste. He uses his magic to help them fly away, and they walk on air before Howl drops her off with her sister. Clearly, after this, Sophie is taken with Howl, but her sister warns her that there are rumors that he steals the hearts of women. Sophie protests sullenly that that's only for beautiful women, which she doesn't consider herself to be. That night at her shop, the Witch of the Waste appears and curses Sophie, causing her to turn into an old woman. And worst of all, the curse prevents her from telling anybody about it. So the witch leaves, telling Sophie to give Howl her regards. Sophie hides from her mother the next morning, telling her she's sick, and then sneaks out of town into the waste, the countryside outside of the city, to look for a magic user that can help cure her from the curse. Instead, she finds a magical scarecrow who who she helps stand upright, and in return he helps her find a cane to walk and shelter for the night in Howl's famous moving castle. Howl, however, is not inside, but she does find a powerful fire demon named Calcifer who says that he is bound to the castle.
Shout out to Calcifer.
He serves as the engine, moving and hiding the castle.
He was great in there.
Yeah, and he must obey Howl's every command. But unfortunately, he's miserable because of this and tells Sophie he'll help break her curse if she can help him break his.
Yeah.
So she awakens the next morning as Howl's young apprentice Markle helps customers looking for magic remedies. He's receiving summons for Howl to the king. They want his help in the current war effort that's going on. Markle is using a magic door that helps open to many different locations depending on what color this certain indicator is on. Sophie asks where the black indicator leads, but Markle says only Howl knows that. Howl arrives shortly after that from the black doorway and asks who Sophie is, not recognizing her now that she's old. She claims to be a cleaning lady that Calcifer hired, but doesn't take long for Howl to find a threatening note in her pocket from the Witch of the Waste. Markle asks if Sophie is working for the witch, and she angrily denies this, saying she'd rather wring her neck, but before she can talk about the curse, her mouth closes up. Sophie then goes on cleaning, which displeases just about everybody. As she explores the place, she becomes more and more enamored with it and even finds that the Scarecrow continued to follow her and is stuck in the machinery. They rescue him and set up camp near a large lake, and Sophie seems pretty content, even with her old age. Elsewhere, Howl is in a monster-like bird form, watching warships drop bombs on cities and narrowly escapes capture from a bunch of wizards that had been turned into more monstrous creatures. He returns home injured, and Calcifer warns him that if he keeps transforming, eventually he'll be stuck that way, just like the wizards he's fighting. And Howl laments that those poor wizards gave up their life for the king and don't even know that they'll never be able to change back. The next morning, Sophie and Markle are buying food at the market when they're almost hit by enemy bombs, and they spot more of the Witch of the Waste minions looking for them. They run home, but Howl is more distressed about something else. Sophie has messed with his potions while cleaning, and that he accidentally dyed his hair red. He screams that he's ugly now and doesn't see a point in living, and his hair turns black, and he summons forth, spirits from the nether realm and turns to slime. So a completely reasonable reaction from him. Sophie then
you say completely reasonable?
Yeah, completely reasonable.
Okay.
Your hair color changes. Just give up
Throwing
on
some
the world.
opinions in there. All right.
Sophie helps clean Howl back up after an outburst of her own, and then goes to visit him in his bedroom. And there he laments what a coward he is, using his magic only to run from the witch, who's basically an angry ex of his, and the king, who he's sworn loyalty to but is super afraid of. Sophie encourages him to go see the king, but he instead suggests that she go, pretending to be his mom, and tell him he's too scared to show up, hoping that because of that they'll just give up on him. She's nervous, but Howl gives her the ring that'll lead her back to the magic castle, and he promises that he'll follow in disguise, making sure she's safe. So when a small wheezing dog shows up next to her, Sophie assumes it's Howl. Soon, she also runs into the Witch of the Waste, who was also summoned by the king. The two have a very slow race up the steps of the palace, and when Sophie gets to the court first, the witch collapses in exhaustion, only to fall into a trap that steals her powers. Inside the court, Sophie doesn't find the king, but instead the head sorcerer Suleiman, who reveals that the dog is her pet Heen. Sophie plays her part as Howl's mother, but Suleiman only expresses disappointment. Howl was supposed to be her last, most talented apprentice and her replacement. However, he had his heart captured by a demon and ran away, choosing only to use his magic selfishly. She tells Sophie that Howl must return and fight for the king or suffer the same fate as the witch, now that she's old and weak. Sophie attempts to defend Howl, saying he only wants to live free, her aging curse reversing as she does so, but she snapped back to reality in old age when Suleiman says that she must be in love with Howl. Howl does appear soon after that to protect Sophie, and Suleiman tries to reveal who he really is, forcing him to transform into his monstrous bird form. He manages to escape, clutching Sophie and the witch and Heen, but when he sees that they have pursuers, he acts as a distraction and sends the other three back to his castle. That night, Sophie has a dream of a monstrous bleeding Howl returning to the castle, but when she follows him to his room and offers to help him and confesses her love to him, he says only that it's too late. She awakens to hear Howl moving around upstairs and asks Calcifer for more information on Howl's curse, but he refuses. When she threatens to throw water on him, he says, "If you drown me, Howl dies too." The next morning, Howl casts a spell that enlarges the castle now that they have new guests, and changes the entrances and exits to the house so they now align with Sophie's old hat shop. The other new entrance is to a secret garden from his childhood, and as Sophie explores it, her aging curse reverses once again. But her glee returns once Howl plans. She becomes concerned once she figures out Howl is planning to leave them, and says that, I can help you. But he says, I just want to make sure that you guys are all set up with a good life just in case, and his rejection turns her completely old again. Suddenly, they spot a military airship, and Howl attacks angrily, unplugging all this stuff, sending it almost crashing to the ground.
Which was dope.
Which was pretty dope, and sends Sophie back to the castle, but the effort of the fight is starting to force him back into that monstrous form. That night, they wait for Howl to return as planes bomb the city. The next day, Sophie's mother arrives, seemingly unconcerned with her daughter's appearance or the change in her sore interior, but she's there to announce that she's been remarried in her daughter's absence. She tells Sophie that, hey, my new husband is rich. You don't need to work as a cleaning lady anymore. But Sophie says she's happy there, so the mom leaves. However, it doesn't take the witch long to discover that Sophie's mom has left her purse behind, and in it is one of Suleiman's spies, which she feeds into the fire, Calcifer. Driving away, Sophie's mom hopes her daughter will someday forgive her betrayal. That night, more bombs hit the city and blob men attack the hat shop, but Howl arrives just in time to save them. In the house, he tries to revive Calcifer, sick from eating Suleiman's spy, and the witch comments that he doesn't seem to be running away anymore. He says it's because he has something to protect, and that's Sophie, and heads back out to continue the fight. Sophie, now almost completely de-aged, uses the magic door to run and watches Howl fight the monsters from a distance. Fearing for his safety, she reasons that he won't have to protect them if she destroys the magic portal that connects their locations and takes Calcifer out of the castle. This destroys the magic of the moving castle and causes it to collapse. Sophie somehow reasons that now they're safe, they should head back into the burning, monster-infested city to let Howl know they're safe.
I like that he said somehow.
Somehow they came, oh, we're safe now, let's go to the danger to let him know we're safe. I don't know about that. She brings Calcifer back into the castle to reanimate it and offers her braid as fuel, her hair. And as they start moving, Calcifer says, imagine what I could do with your heart. And the witch of the waste spots in the fire what she's always wanted. Howl's heart, the source of Calcifer's flame. She grabs it and brings the castle to a halt, and she starts to burn. Sophie soaks her with water to save her, but nearly extinguishes Calcifer in the process. The house, now aimless again, splits, and Sophie is separated from the rest, but her ring points her back. She follows it to the magic door and enters through the black setting. It leads her to a moment in Howl's childhood in the secret garden where he caught and ate a falling star, which claimed his heart and became Calcifer. After seeing this, a portal opens and takes Sophie back, but not before she yells out to the young Howl to find her in the future when he needs help, planting the seeds of their future relationship. When she returns from the vision, Howl is there waiting for her, but he's been fully consumed by the monster at this point. He's not even responding to her when she kisses him. Luckily, he is able to fly her to where the others are, and Sophie asks the witch to give her Howl's heart, which surprisingly she does. And Sophie merges the two together, and Howl's heart is restored, and Calcifer is granted his freedom, both of their spells broken. Unfortunately, this is the last of the magic on the bit of castle they're standing on, and they plummet down a cliff, and the Scarecrow, still with them, sacrifices himself to save them all, and Sophie, who is grateful, gives him a kiss, breaking a spell of his own, turning him back into a prince, the one who is missing from the kingdom they've been at war with and is the entire reason they've been fighting in the first place. He pledges to return home and end the war on their side, and Heen, the spy dog, shows to his master Suleiman in her crystal ball that Howl has been healed, the prince has been found, the war is over, and she resolves to end this idiotic war on their part as well. We end on an image of sometime later as the witch, Heen, and Markle play on a brand new airship built from the castle's wreckage as a young silver-haired Sophie and Howl share a kiss on the front of the ship, and that is Howl's Moving Castle.
That sounded a lot better when you said it.
All right.
Yeah,
so
Brendan's been
I got a
going
couple
through-
quick
yeah.
things that I realized I should have said earlier. Is we all probably, since we all watched it on HBO Max, probably saw the dubbed because the subbed version wasn't on there.
No.
And what'd you say?
It wasn't on there. No,
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm
on
saying
there.
no.
So we all watched the dubbed, right, Ice?
Yes.
Yes, and the voice acting was incredible. Not even a lie. But I never thought to look into who the voice actors were. As Keenan pointed out while Rob was doing that thing, man, there's some names in here.
Yeah.
There's some names.
Star
So like
power, for
Sophie
sure.
was Emily Mortimer and Gene Simmons. Howl, Ice, do you know who Howl was?
Yeah, it's Batman.
Yeah,
Batman.
Christian
Yeah.
Bale. What?
Where is he?
Right?
Yo, there was a part in there when he was like that bird thing, and I was like, he channeled Batman with that voice because I knew beforehand. I looked it up beforehand, so I was
Yeah,
just
I
like,
Lauren Bacall.
Bacall. Yep.
Yep. My favorite character, Calcifer, was done by
Calcifer.
Billy Crystal. He was funny.
he was great.
Yeah, he was good.
Josh Hutcherson did Markle. Madam Sullivan was Blythe Danner. Letty was Jenna Malone. Honey was Mary Devon. Prince Justin Turniphead was Crispin Freeman. And Madge was Lydiana Mummy, which is like, yo, that's a crazy voice cast. Like Studio Ghibli was
Yeah.
pulling some names.
Yeah, they pulled. I mean, yeah, I'm guessing because it did well already over there, so they had the bread.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, and so what I was gonna say, the comparison between the film and the novel, there's a lot of big things that were different. One of the biggest being actually how Howl's Castle moved. And Rob brought this up as I was talking to him about it, but one of the big reasons why the director wanted to be on this project was because how the castle moved. And he ended up giving it chicken legs, which is very similar to a very famous tale called Baba Yaga's Hut, which moved with chicken legs as well. And so that was something completely different because in the book, the tower was a dark, sinister, like very like all black, and it just did not match in any way, shape, or form.
Oh wow, yeah, not the same feel
It was
at all.
all black with 4 pillars of smoke coming out, 4 doors, 3 of them guarded by an invisible wall, only one true entrance. Kind of like how this had the one true entrance that looked like a butt. Did it kind of look like the butt, right? So
Yeah.
let me get on this thing. I'm gonna go right in the butt.
Right in the butt.
Right in the butt.
Come on, Brendan.
Huh? What? Is that not how it happened?
You didn't have to add to the color commentary.
So another big thing is that Sophie actually had 3 sisters. In the movie, she only showed one, which is a big plot point in the book because that her relationship with her sisters was a lot of her motivation, as well as the antagonist of the book was not Sullivan or the
Sulema?
war. Sulema, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sulema or the war. The antagonist was actually the Witch of the Waste. She was the antagonist where she ends up being like a grandma like figure in this one, where she was only the antagonist for like the first third of the movie ish.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah, so that's like one of the biggest difference. And also the war itself was like a side mention in the book. Like it wasn't even like a major plot point where it was the antagonist of the movie. And to the point where it was actually written that it felt like the movie was a fan fiction of the book, not a direct depiction. And even the author said, well, the author, so Miyazaki traveled to England to show the author, Jones, like, how does it look? Gave her a private viewing. And she was just like, yeah, I mean, I don't have any input. I write books. Not films. So yeah, it's very different. In fact, it's likely to be very different, but that's how it should be. It still will be a fantastic film. It's fantastic, is what she said.
Okay.
So yeah, guys, there's a lot more differences. Those are the biggest ones to me. Besides the obviously the thematic differences are extremely different. But I already touched on that. But yeah, there you go, guys.
I thank you for that, Brennan.
You're very welcome.
Get all that up front.
I wish you would have had like something to say after the instead of just being an ass.
Well, I do have something to say. Actually, now we're gonna get on to the questions. We have a lot of questions about this anime. We all put together some questions. First,
Well, here, do we want to get our timer
Yeah,
started?
get our timer
So we
going.
have basically a new member of the show,
Yeah,
and that
the
is the
timer.
timer, and everybody's going to know the password to Brennan's iPad.
This is not my iPad. For
Perfect.
Yes.
So yeah, Keenan, do you want to walk them through how we're going to do this?
so we're gonna each topic's gonna get 5 minutes total. So we're gonna all get about around 60 seconds or so to talk about it. And we're just gonna go through a few questions. So we're gonna move it along like that, easily.
If you've ever seen part of the interruption on
Yeah.
ESPN, it's going to be
Kind
kind
of
of
like a
like
little
that.
PTI type thing.
Yeah.
All right. Ready?
Yeah. Who's first?
I'm gonna ask your question.
So
My
Keenan's going to run through the
We're just
questions.
gonna run through
and-
the questions. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. And start.
All right. How did they get such complex animation? Brennan, let's start with you on that one.
Well, I did a little research on this, and how do they do such complex animation? This is a Studio Ghibli film, which they're very famous for their imagery and how it looks. And what they did here is a very unique mix between digital animation and actually hand-drawn. They hand-drew all the characters and all the backgrounds, and then they digitized it. And normally that's where most studios stop, but they weren't satisfied with that. After digitizing it and putting the whole movie together, they still went back through every frame and did touch-ups on all the different frames by
lot of work.
hand.
Lot
So
of
it
work.
still has that magical feel to it. Because I was curious, why does this animation look so different than so many others? It's because they put the time in.
Well, that's interesting because when I first saw the castle, kind of coming off of watching the Berserk movie, I almost anticipated that it was going to be sort of that CG animation.
Yeah.
But then when you got that close up of it, it looked hand drawn.
Yeah.
It had a good look to it. That's one of the things that I will say is a positive about this movie is it looks
looked
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
It looked like Paprika a little bit to me. There's one scene in particular with all the soldiers doing kind of like a march thing that reminded me of some of those parade scenes from Paprika where I was just like, ooh.
I mean, the people kind of look like from characters from Princess Mononoke. That's what I felt like, at least visually, face-wise. I did like some of the animation in here. How did you feel about that, Ice?
Yeah, I mean that was one of my points. It's just about the sound design and then the animation. I mean, it was honestly it's the best looking movie I've seen as far as anime, next to like a Paprika or an Akira, but it's actually better than Akira as far as
Visually,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would agree.
It was
with that.
definitely up there. I mean, those landscapes it gave me very like big Breath of the Wild vibes too.
Yeah.
Like made me want to kind of pick up that game again. Very peaceful, very nice. Yeah.
Honestly, the only anime that I can clear cut say has better animation is Paprika. Everything else would really be a toss up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that have you guys seen Spirited Away?
No, not yet.
Oh.
It's not in a long time.
Yeah, I mean it's very similar, is what I'll say. I mean it's all Studio Ghibli, it's all the same stuff. So
Yeah, this film in general kind of reminded me in spirit of Spirited Away because like this girl kind of gets into a situation where she's brought into a magical place where she's basically put to work.
yeah,
And
cleaning.
discovers that she's connected to this guy who's really a magical animal type thing. There's a lot of overlap.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But yeah, I mean visually and thematically, or I guess story-wise,
Yeah, just
plot-wise.
like beats. There's definitely different themes
Yeah.
in these movies, but I saw a lot of similarities there.
All right. Next question. Can sound make or break an anime? Ice, you want to go with that one? Start off with that.
Yeah. So this is my point, and I just want to say that like sound is like the sound here was the best sound that I've ever heard in any anime in my entire existence, especially for something to be dubbed like that. To get in those voice actors, like Brennan pointed out, like that is unmatched. I was very, very blown away by the sound and how they were able to execute, even like the little footsteps, the flickers when Calcifer and stuff be moving around, like, and just how it really, really immersed you in that world. And I was started off watching it on my phone, then I transitioned and watched it on my TV. And I thought like, okay, maybe this is just because I have my headphones in. But when I went to the TV, it still had the same magic from a sound place. And I just thought about it. I was like, damn, like this sound literally saved this movie. And I was thinking like, can sound do that? Like, can sound completely ruin something that's really great visually?
Absolutely.
It definitely could.
Yeah.
You talk about when you make a movie. I remember when I was taking like film classes, they were always saying like you can't fix bad sound. Like
Right.
you capture bad sound on set, you're done. Like you can't fix that. You have to go back and basically do it again. And I remember when we were doing Evangelion, that was one of the things that we commented on was the sound design and like that sound of the cicadas and kind of giving you that feel of a time and a place. I definitely think, I agree with you, Ice, that sound can totally make or break something.
How about you feel, Brennan?
I felt that the sound design of this movie was absolutely impeccable, as well as the dubbing, to the point where I actually even like took note of the scarecrow. The sound of the scarecrow bouncing around was so authentic that you don't even second guess. Like, how did they make that sound? How do you imagine the sound of a scarecrow propelling itself through space on dirt roads? You know what I'm saying? Like, and bouncing. Like, what is? How do you even simulate that? But they nailed it.
I feel like they probably got like a pogo type. So, when they do sound design, a lot of times they'll bring the studio, they'll put dirt in the studio and they have them bouncing. I mean, for me, I can't give y'all the same answer as you guys. For some reason, when I was like, I guess streaming it from my phone to the TV, the sound was like low. Like I had to turn my phone, my thing all the way up, and then their voices were kind of still low, so it was all over the place.
That is a good point. The sound design was good. The sound mix, on the other hand, I'm not entirely sure.
I wasn't the
on.
only one then.
Because I did have a lot
okay.
of trouble hearing some of the dialogue, especially in the beginning over the music.
At the beginning, when they were like people speaking in the background, I was like, "What's happening?" Like I had to rewind it and turn it like up to 100 on my TV, and I was like, "What the hell's happening?"
I guess I was the only one with the closed captions on, huh?
I had closed captions on still, but still, I still like hearing it with closed captions. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And
Yeah.
I was the only reason I didn't put closed caption on is because I didn't see that the Japanese version wasn't available.
Yeah.
And like other times that we've watched shows where I'm like, all right, let me throw the subtitles on. What they're saying doesn't necessarily match what the subtitles are saying, and I find
Exactly.
that
Yep.
super distracting. So I'd
Yeah.
rather
Yeah,
just
that's so terrible.
right. So I'd rather just do one or the other. When I watched it through kind of the second time to do my synopsis, I threw the subtitles on and found it was the same.
Yeah, and I mean for me, it was already on, so that's how I just left it.
Gotcha.
We're gonna go to the next question.
Wait. One last thing that I want to say is on top of the pogo stick. One other observation I made was the sound of Howl's castle walking. Again, something that none of us even questioned. Think about that. Somebody's like, "Okay, sound designer, this is the image.
Yeah.
Give me sound to this." You'd be like, "Well, shit."
That's what
Like,
these
think about
guys
that
do, though.
castle.
That's what these guys do, though.
I
These-
get it, but
yeah.
look at the castle.
Yeah.
If you were to think like, what's one of the most complex sounds you could come up with? I want to hear that thing move.
Yeah.
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 Well, they did a really good job with that redesign of the castle to make it into that like almost like a fantasy creature.
Yeah.
Like if they
Yeah.
made it look like what it sounds like it was supposed to be in the book, it would be super serious and like I mean, wouldn't have that like kind of whimsical feel like when she's going through the castle and like, wow, what a magical place this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, it
It's
would be
just
like
black
this.
walls. Like,
Yeah, this is like a torture dungeon.
Yeah.
Not
All right.
all the same.
Goddamn.
All right, man. We're gonna get on to the next question. The next question is: did this movie depict women poorly at all? Do you feel like they depicted women poorly?
Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna start this for a Rob rant now.
Mr. Me Too.
But I seriously thought that they
Uh-huh.
did not do a great job with the women in this movie. It seems like every woman in this movie is defined by her relationship to a man, whether that's the Witch of the Waste only wants Howl's heart. That seems to be the same for Sophie. She is almost completely defined by her desire to have a relationship with Howl and how she appears physically to other men and her obsession with wanting to be pretty or not feeling pretty. And even Suleiman, the wizard, is just like, I gotta find Howl. He's my, a star
Prodigy.
apprentice. He's got to come back. He's got to fix his ways. I just felt like
They all needed a man.
they all just needed a man, specifically Howl, in their life. Even her sister is who she seems to look up to, who we see, is when they show her, literally every dude that comes on screen is just like, oh, hey, Nettie, like, what's up? Like, you want to hang out? You want to use my office? Like, have your meeting with your sister in there? Like, so clearly Sophie is feeling down on herself because of these other sisters, these other characters that are more attractive to men. And that just seems to be completely where her image comes from, is how she appeals to men and her physical attractiveness. And that seems to be the basis of her curse.
Okay. What about you, Barry?
I mean,
Oh, he said it all.
I don't know what to say after that.
I mean,
like,
I'll say this did.
actually, no, wait. I do. I have one thing.
Okay.
I will say that it still is a movie that is the protagonist, and I'm not saying it as a counterpoint. It's a protagonist as a female protagonist, number one. Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki are known for having female protagonists, strong female protagonists in general.
Mononoke was great.
Mononoke is
Yeah.
incredible, but that wasn't a female protagonist.
No, but there were a lot of strong female
No, there were.
characters
But I'm
within
just saying.
that
My point
movie.
being that this movie was a female-led movie. Like
True.
the whole movie followed her. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, she was trying to figure that stuff out or go be in love with a guy or whatever. But the movie was about her more than anybody else. So that's my only point, is that like I can't argue with any of that, but it still was a female-led film.
I will say, compared to other anime, this did the best job. Shit.
I'm not gonna
'cause-
argue with that either.
Because golly, at least
No, we were talking about Kill
Come
Kill
on.
earlier.
yeah, Kill. You have a strong, dope female protagonist, but then you have all this stuff happen. It's just ridiculous. But she was like one of the dopest I've ever seen. So I understand what you're saying, Robin. I get exactly what you're saying because it still does. But compared to other anime, this is top notch. They were treated some of the best in here. What about you, Ice?
Yeah, I feel like a kind of combination with Keenan and Rob were saying. In the field of anime, they are a lot of steps ahead.
Yeah,
it's a tough scale. It's a real tough scale.
Yeah,
they are eons ahead of the game. And their studio, like Brennan said, is known for putting women in the forefront. So I can't really knock them that much, but I think this is like the overarching argument for just media as a whole and how they portray women and how they even think about somebody like Wonder Woman, who has the Wonder Woman movie. Like, one, you have a great actor in Gal Gadot, and then you have just the Wonder Woman, and she had to have some type of love interest. And it's like, you don't like, these can be strong women. Like, they always have to have a love interest, like always, no matter what form of media it is. She's a strong woman, we got to give her a love interest. And it's like, how many dudes just go through, different things and they with no love interest, or they just got a bunch of people coming after them. So it's just like, I think it's just that's a bigger argument for just how women are portrayed as a whole.
No, true. And like, she does have a love interest, but she also has other things going on. That's not her defining thing. Right. And I think you're right, I said it is a larger thing, especially within like a fairy tale genre, where it's just like the romance story, it's all consuming. And I think it turned this lead character, even though she was the lead character, into a more two-dimensional representation of a character rather than an actual person I could feel for.
Yeah. Also, on top of that, they made everything visual for the women. It's like they were all about beauty and like they were.
But it was for Howl too, though. His hair changed color and he fell into.
Oh, he's super vain.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like they got maybe the short end of the stick with all that stuff. The Witch of the West, whatever she was called, she looked like melted ice cream.
Oh yeah, she was like a Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah,
her climbing those
walking up those steps.
That might have been my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I personally would not say, nothing. Timer's up.
Timer's up. We're moving on.
All right. Next question, man. Would you ever sell your family out? And let me speak on this real quick. And the scene here, her mother pretty much was like, "Yo, I got a new husband and shit. He rich," and then pretty much was like selling her daughter out, pretty much to try to get her whatever's going to happen. This thing was going to do to her. I don't know, kill her, do whatever it was. And then she was just like, "Well, I hope my daughter forgives me," and then driving off. I could never, not even just to a brother. This is her daughter, yo. Like, the fact that you would do this to somebody you gave birth to, you're the biggest piece of shit.
Wait.
Is this our first trash anime mom?
Anime mom.
No. Bakugo's mom is a piece of shit also.
Was she?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
She's angry. She's the one that made Bakugo that way.
Well, maybe that's the only way you can deal with somebody like Bakugo. Or maybe that's just how she is.
Bakugo would have been Deku out here.
All I'm saying is she was there for him. Like, she raised him. She showed up to the meetings with the parent-teacher conferences.
Shit out of him?
Kept him in line during those meetings.
Beat the shit out of him?
I feel like maybe he deserved a little bit.
Like I was saying, I would never sell family out. I think that's a terrible thing to do. Even a third cousin. Like, I wouldn't even sell you out, man. What do you think, Brennan?
Third cousin? I'm just saying, like, everybody has a price. So first of all, no, I wouldn't sell out my family. Like, if you know me well, you know I'm huge with my family. I'm very close with my family. Mm-hmm. I talk to them every week, if not every day.
Okay.
So like, I love my family. I can't imagine selling them out.
You have a weekly call with your family, don't you?
I do have a weekly call with my family.
Right.
With my immediate family. So like, yeah, my immediate family, nah. But like, I've also had some cousins sell me out before and do me really dirty.
You don't
so if somebody
down to their level, Brennan.
So if somebody offered me enough, I'm just saying, somebody's like, "Yo, give me $10 million." Somebody's like, "I'll give you $10 million because your cousin owes child support. Where's he staying?"
I feel like Brennan almost dropped a name there. Like,
almost did. This is a little too close to home. But I'm just saying, I have been betrayed or sold out by family members before.
How have you been betrayed?
Stuff has been stolen from me. Money has been borrowed and never given back. I have been lied on. I have been cheated around, like in games even. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, the thing is though, I'm not saying that because my family is trash. I'm saying that because my family is huge. Yeah. Like, my family is literally a city in Virginia. Okay. Not even joking. And so like, you're like, would you sell out your family? No. In general, hell no. Are there certain members that can get these hands? Yes. And you don't even got to pay me that much.
Nobody said
$10 says slap your cousin with the backside of your hand. Mike, you know what? I'll give you $10.
That could be done for free. That's
you know what I'm saying?
What about you?
But
Rob?
beating up your family and selling them out is two different.
I would
Two
sell
different
out
things.
one
Two
of my
different
cousins right now for his child support payments because of what he did to me.
Okay.
So yes, I would.
We know where you stand, Brennan. Rob, what about you?
No, I hope not. No, I mean, especially not like she just shows up. This is her daughter, and she just marries some guy and is like, she throws everything away. She throws her entire relationship away with her daughter just so she can maintain this marriage to a rich guy. No, I would never do anything on that level. Like, that's ridiculous. It's repugnant.
Would you sell out your cousin for child support who stole from you?
Yeah, I might.
Okay, just making sure. Just wondering.
What about you, Ice?
No. I mean, especially me being a father. Shout out to Father's Day. No, not at all. There's nothing in me. I feel bad if I'm talking on the phone with somebody with my son around. Like, if it's not business, like if I'm doing something in my kid and I'm with my son, I'll be like, okay, let me just kind of wrap this up because I got to get back to him. So it's like, no, but I wouldn't even sell y'all out.
He said, y'all
out. Hesitation.
Maybe bald-headed ass Brennan.
Almost took it back.
Yeah. All right.
Well, hold on, Ice.
Yes.
Would you sell out your cousin who stole from you for his child support money?
I think it comes down to
stole one of your prized possessions that you allowed him to borrow and then sold it.
No, he stole something from your son.
Ooh. That's actually happened to me by my family as well. One of my dad's cousins.
No.
Yeah.
We got to fight. But you would.
But I'm saying sell out.
Sell them out would be the best option for them.
That happened to me.
Fire on them first, then sell them out.
Okay, so everybody's answer. It seems like everybody's answer is depends on the situation.
Yeah, it seems like it. There's a limit. Everybody's got a line.
All right, man. So next question here. This is
wow,
a good
we came
one.
close on that one. All right,
This is a good one, man. So would you, if you were suddenly turned into an old person, like what would you do if you were suddenly turned into like you from your age now, you would just turned fuck that, not even your age now because you lived a decent amount of life right now.
Yeah.
20.
From 15. So you didn't get a chance to even to experience an adult at all. 15 to 90.
He's just adding to my question.
Damn.
Who's first?
Go ahead, Brennan. You can go ahead first.
If I got turned from 15 to 90 with no hope of being turned back, I assume.
Right.
Oh man. The first thing I'd do is check my sexual organs to see if they work, because they probably had at that point in my life they had not really been used yet. So that'd be the first thing. I'm like, am I actually going to end up dying a virgin? That would be the
90-year-old virgin.
Yeah, straight up, because that's what you are at that point. So that's check number one. Number two, I don't know. I honestly was just like, what are my physical limits? What can I do? What can I do? I'd probably want to travel, but can I at this point? I'd probably wish I had a family, but can I at this point? I'd probably fall into a deep depression, to be fully honest. Like, it's just like I was robbed of my entire life. That's, for me, it feels to me like when, I'm going to take it there, guys. I'm going to go all the way there. It feels to me like when a black person or black man gets unjustly put into prison for a life season, a whole life, pretty much there for the whole life, and gets let out when they're 90 years old to find out that they were innocent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like you lived your whole life in prison. It's all gone. And what do you do now?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some big differences in there from prison and
I mean, yes and no, but in the sense of like all your youth was literally taken from you.
All your youth is gone. Your mentality's gone.
Yep.
Because I'm assuming
you're still not an adult mentally. Yeah. If you're 15, like you still have like a solid 5 to 10 years to develop mentally into an adult, which you might not even make it to.
Okay. That's real. What about you, Ice?
At the age of 15, I knew my sex organs worked. So
he does have a child.
At 9, Ice was getting it in.
I would say in this present day, I would do my best to like try to be famous. I feel like an old dude doing like 15-year-old stuff. I think that That
Sub
would be
2000.
cool. I think people be like, damn, look at that old man. Or look how he dressed. And you see a 90-year-old pulling up in J's and a fitted out or dressed like how I dress. It's like, damn, like, why does this 90-year-old man dress like this? Or me on stage talking about certain things, or like, damn, this 90-year-old comedian. Like, just the fact that I'm 90 doing certain things, I feel like that would propel me and would keep me from thinking about the stuff that Brennan is saying. Like, that would be what keeps me busy and keeps my mind right, or else I would be on the other end of the stick like Brennan.
Yeah, I feel like as a comedian, I'm with you. I'm going on stage not immediately. I'm right within. I need 2 days to adjust to this shit.
Yes,
because she adjusted it within like 5 minutes.
She really did.
Life. Well, fuck it.
She took to that real well.
I was like, no, this is not how this is gonna work. So I mean, I guess I'm similar in that sense. I would probably end up taking it to the stage, and I would just try to live. I'm gonna just be an asshole to people. To be honest with you.
Say the stuff that you always wanted to say.
Everything.
Speak your mind.
That was a big theme of this movie, actually, is that age allows us to do and say and believe things that we normally wouldn't.
You look at old people now. That's how they are.
They don't give a shit. Yeah. What about you, Rob?
Yeah.
Me, I mean, these days, I don't know, shop an hour earlier at Target because that's when the senior hours are. Like, that's just, I don't know.
Senior coffee.
Yeah, right. Ice, you made a good point. Yeah, like trying to think of what I was doing at 15. I was going to like, I don't know, some like concerts and stuff. Just sit, there's that saying like punks don't die. They just move to the back of the venue. Like, so you just like the old man standing in the back, like watching the show. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun just to like see how people reacted to that. Yeah, just being out and around town, acting like a kid as an old person might be kind of fun.
Have you ever seen how 90-year-old people move? If they still
True.
can
No,
move?
because I've got a grandfather who's 90. He's still kicking. Like, he's mostly there. Like, but he getting around is not easy.
No.
Like, he doesn't even get around like Sophie does. Like, he needs like a walker pretty much.
Yeah,
It's
Sophie
tough.
was good. She was not 90, I don't think. She's in her 60s, I think. But.
Yeah, I don't know. That freedom of being able to speak my mind, probably just like spend a lot of days at the fucking park with the ducks, man, just like trying to be peaceful and I don't know, not be mad that I got my youth taken from me with some Benjamin Button.
I'm going all out.
scenes.
It's almost over for me. I gotta go all out. I don't want to sit there and
well,
do
that's why
nothing.
you heard my first check, right?
Yeah.
Does everything work? Like,
I'm
going
just
on
saying,
some
if it
benders?
works, I'm just
Brennan will
like,
be on back page. Get these old
I'm going
thrusts.
to wherever I gotta go.
What drugs have I not tried?
All the drugs,
Everything
all
at
the
once.
things.
It's all in
I'm gonna experience life in like 2 years. I'm gonna experience everything.
They do say like one of the places there's the most STDs is old folks' home
That's
because
it.
all I got to do is sit around,
Moving on.
have
All
sex.
right.
Anyway,
Timer
All right.
says we move on.
So next question, man. Do you believe do you believe in falling in love in a short period of time? Do you think that's possible? Like, I believe that I believe in love at first sight.
Hell no.
I'm not saying I fully experienced it. I do think I thought it was love and it was definitely lust, but I do believe at love at first sight. I've seen it. I do think you can be. There's just connections, just energy that you can just lock with somebody and be like, God damn, like this is the.
Has
person
it ever
I've been
happened to
waiting
you?
I know. I just said like I thought it did, and then I realized it was lust. But and luckily I was able to check that and realize that it wasn't. But I've seen it happen with people, and they're still together now to this day.
yeah.
And I do think it's possible because they fell in love in this movie. She fell in love pretty fast.
She did.
And I was just kind of like, but I was just like, well, I mean, it happens. What about you, Rob? How you feel about that?
It does happen. I think it's exceedingly rare. Because I think you're right. It's mostly lust. And I think even in those moments where it works out, that's still technically lust. But continuing the relationship takes work and effort. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about
He's engaged.
this whole movie. Like the relationship is very shallow. Like they're both just kind of attracted to each other physically. I mean, Howl doesn't even really register who Sophie is until he sees her sleeping and she's in her young form. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, that's who this girl is. That's when he seems to be like, hey, like, why don't you go?
How old was Howl?
Old, I bet. Super old. But I mean, I think what's interesting, what this movie didn't do well, which you can say all you want about Frozen, it's a pretty whatever movie franchise, but that first one had a pretty interesting plot point about like love at first sight or just like seeing somebody and them being the perfect person is usually not the case.
Okay. What about you, Brennan? You ever had love at first sight yourself before?
Never had it. But I think my twin brother kind of did.
With
Yeah, with
You
Amani.
now? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, with
with
his
his wife?
wife. Because I remember very clearly, because my brother was working at an art store at the time, and that's how they met. She came into the art store, and the story was really crazy because she came in buying art supplies, and he was like, "Let me get your number." I mean, they saw each other. It was just like, ugh. And he didn't say, "Let me get your number." He was working. And so, like, they had a moment, but there was a long line, and he was just like, like, I'm sorry. Like, it was so nice to meet you. And she was with her sister. And they go outside, and apparently she was, like, flustered outside. And so her sister was like, go back in there and give him the number kind of thing, because they had a moment.
Yeah.
And so she writes it, like, on, like, a napkin with, like, lipstick or something like that, gives it to my brother. And he cannot decipher, like, 2 of the numbers. So he called every number in the phone book trying to find her and never could. And I remember he came home, was like so excited, I'm about to call her, because I was there, and he was just like, this doesn't work. I was like, try every number. We just couldn't figure it out. And so, like, months later, she came back to the store, and then she was just like giving him attitude, and he was just like, you're the one I tried to call. I called all these numbers. He still had it in his pocket. He was just like, no, like, I tried. And so they went on a date that night, and then it was just ever since then it's been
Good
love.
for them.
Yo, shout out to your brother, man, for calling every number. That has to be some type of infatuation, love, whatever, because for you to go through all those numbers, I'm gonna
Two
find
missed numbers. Think about all the combinations there.
Oh my
Damn.
gosh. What about you, Ice?
I think love at first sight is the dumbest shit I ever heard in my fucking life.
All right.
Ice
That-
making this face.
Ice
the
made that
ice
face
face.
right there.
Exactly. That's my face. That's my face the entire time y'all was talking, because there's no, like, you got to think about it. Love at first sight. That's not a real thing, because love is when you have to go through adversity. Love is like when I'm down and you taking care of me, or I'm sick. Like when people say when you marry through sickness and health, like that's where that love is built. When I see you at the club shaking your ass, like, we are at high points. This is high points in our life. I got some money in my pocket. You shaking your ass with your girls. We having a good time. That's not love. That's just like us being like, no.
I think love is broad. So I think it's not just what you said. I think it could be a bunch of different things. And you specifically said the club, motherfucker. Like, that don't mean
I'm
the only
just
place
saying
you meet
anywhere.
a woman at. He met a woman at a bookstore, was
A
it?
bookstore,
Art store.
Art store, I'm sorry, art store.
An art store, a comedy club, a luau. I don't give a what it is. You don't know in that moment. You have
Said a
to love it.
luau.
Love is something that you have to prove and earn, and you
I
don't
think-
earn it in that moment.
I think it's something that you can lose more than.
I think it could be all those things. I think you can get it immediately. I think you have to keep it. All that stuff like that. Have you ever been in love before, Ice?
Yes, of course.
Oh.
But I didn't know it it wasn't at first sight. Like, you can like Rob said, it's at that moment, it's like, wow, I would really enjoy being with this person. Not even take sex out of it. Sometimes I've seen women, it's like, damn, I really feel like we can build in something and grow
Right.
together. It's not even, but that's not love though.
All right, moving on,
Okay.
guys.
I mean,
Timer says we're
that's a good
moving
opinion.
on.
Timer says we're
All right.
moving on.
All right, this is not really a question, but let's just talk about it a little bit. The importance of setup and payoff. What do you
Yeah.
think about that, Rob?
Well, that's something I thought this movie really lacked, honestly. I felt
Yeah.
like a lot of things happened in this movie because they just had to happen to move the plot forward, especially the love story between Howl and Sophie. I felt like at the end of the movie, she and the Scarecrow honestly had a better reason and a
Right.
better love story,
Yeah.
right? Like, he was there for her. He's got the
Yes.
umbrella in the rain, like. But I will
That's
say,
love.
right? But I will say one thing in this story that I did think they set up well and paid off was Howl's heart and Calcifer, and that they did a lot to set up that reveal.
Yeah.
That Sophie gets there and she's the only one that can get him to cook, right? Like, he's the
Yeah.
only one. She can control the flame, his heart. That even Howl's just like, hey, like, be careful to my friend, my heart's in there. The
Yeah.
fact that he even has like erected this whole castle to protect his like heart at the center of it, I think that was a good buildup. Literally everything else, like with the sorceress Suleiman or whatever,
Yeah.
it makes sense that they would have made the Witch of the Waste the main antagonist, because they dropped this other antagonist in halfway through and then never had any sort of confrontation with her. It just,
Yeah.
at the end of it, she's like, all right, well, you know what, this was idiotic anyway, like, I guess we're done. It
Yeah.
just it reminded me of Chekhov's gun, which is this principle in writing where, like, if you show a pistol hanging on the wall in the first act, in the next act it has to be fired. And I feel like they did not do that, even with his assistant.
Yeah.
Like, you could take that assistant out of the story entirely, and it doesn't change the movie at all.
Yeah, I think the setup and payoff was horrible. None of this shit We'll get into that later, but just go ahead, Brandon, before I just start to spill. Do you feel you have anything else to add to what Rob said?
I mean, I think he's right. I really love the Calcifer arc. To be honest,
Arc.
Yeah, arc.
Yeah, I mean storyline, whatever you want to call it. I liked his character. I like what he went through. I know that that was one of the major differences between the book and the movie as well, is that Calcifer was more of what you would imagine to be a demon in the book.
Oh, okay.
Like wasn't just like a friendly fire that was. Because for me, I was telling Rob, this story to me, this vibe of this was kind of like a mix between Aladdin and what did I say? Aladdin and what?
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the Aladdin and the Wizard of Oz put together, because Calcifer was the genie. You know what I'm saying? Like from Aladdin all day. He has all this magical power to make all these crazy things happen. Then he gets free and he flies off, and then he comes back anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have infinite power, but I like y'all. I'm gonna hang out with you. So like, yeah, I think the importance of like build up and stuff, like that's like why what's it called? Knives Out is one of my favorite movies right now. Because of
Really
the build
good
up.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
because of the
Great
build up
movie.
and the payoff.
Yes.
The payoff in that movie blew my face off.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't see it. Have you seen that movie, Rob?
Oh yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great.
It's great.
Yeah, that's what I said. That was what made that whole movie what it is the build up. And you think you're building in one way, and then it just blows your face off with the payoff because you never saw it coming, and it's better than you ever thought it could be. You thought you knew what this movie was the whole time,
You
and
didn't
that's
see
what I was
that coming
hoping
at
while
all,
watching this
the
movie.
least bit?
What'd you say?
I said you didn't see that coming at all, not even the least bit.
I saw something coming, but not what happened.
Yeah.
No.
What about you guys? Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I don't.
I feel you. I think pretty much Rob really set it off.
Yeah.
So have you ever had to deal with a situation like without having any kind of previous knowledge? You know, for example, Sophie dealing with, the fire and Howl. Like she had no previous knowledge of how to deal with them, but she just, bam, I
Got
guess
in and got busy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Calling
Brent.
me teacher.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got one.
Yeah, so we know Ice has one. Like if you think about his like fireside chat stories.
Fireside chat stories.
That's what it's called, right?
Bonfire stories.
Bonfire stories.
Well,
damn.
Don't disrespect
sorry.
our show like that, Brady. Come on.
Whatever.
Come on.
Wow.
I was about to just get so
Fireside
petty.
chat.
No, but the
I know you was. I already knew you were
I
going
know.
to
Yeah, I was about to
can
get so
feel
I already
that.
knew you were going to do
Where,
Brady.
where do you have the show at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose show is it? Where do you
Whose
have
show
it?
is this?
You're so
Right.
predictable, Brennan.
I didn't do it.
What's the address for your show? I could have sworn it was Transit Picture Studios.
I didn't say it. No, so for me, I've been in life-threatening situations before where I was able to perform exactly the way I was supposed to.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. So for example, as you guys may have heard from earlier episodes of this podcast, I was one of the stars of a show called The Curse of Akakor, where we filmed a lot of things in Peru and Brazil. And while we were wrapping up filming in Brazil, we were in Rio, and one of the fixers, a fixer is a person that is the one giving you all the information pretty much while you're on set or on the ground. They're your local helper. Took us to a restaurant that was in the favelas. I did not know we were in the favelas.
Oh shit!
At the time,
He was on a whole Call of Duty level.
I had no idea. And so we're walking through down the middle of the street in the favelas, and I just like, this is a beautiful street because it was during a festival, and I just, in the middle of the street, just took a picture of the street and put my phone in my pocket, keep walking. And like, as I'm walking, a guy runs up on me with an AK-47 and then literally puts it on my chest and starts screaming at me in Portuguese. I don't know what he's saying, but he's pointing at my pocket. So for me, telling that story, I'm thinking I'm peeing myself, I'm crying, I'm doing all these other things, but that's not what I did. I calmly, very slowly reached into my pocket, took out my phone, and presented this man with his brand new phone. And he just kept pointing at it and yelling at me.
Yeah.
And so I opened it up, and then finally my fixer told me what he wanted. He's like, delete the picture, and I calmly deleted the picture and showed it to him. He smiled, put the gun up, and walked away. And that doesn't sound like a real life story for me, because if somebody else told me that story, it's like, what would you do? I'd be like, oh, after I passed out and pissed myself? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So, but I would calmly handle the situation and didn't even realize the gravity of that situation until like an hour later, because my adrenaline got so high, but I was so calm.
That is crazy, Rob.
So hold on, wait a second. Why did he want you to delete it?
Because at the time the mayor had been outed, and half the police force had quit. So there was no police presence like there normally was. So the gangs in the area were starting to roam and take over streets, and we were on one of the gang streets. And he thought I was taking a picture for the police to be able to scope where they were, so the police could come and do a raid on them.
That's crazy as hell, Rob.
I don't know if I've got a situation where I successfully did something.
Yeah, follow up this story.
Certainly not with a gun pointed at me. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a story about a success. I can tell you the first time I ever did karaoke, I was at like this place called DZ Discovery Zone. I don't know if you guys.
Yes, I know DZ Discovery Zone.
They had that in New York too.
Yeah. So we
had that in California.
Yes.
What happened to it?
It just went away.
Yeah.
But
I love DZ.
I remember they had like.
Too.
Yeah, they had a karaoke machine. I'd never done it. I was like, oh, yeah, like my dad sings. He plays music. Like, let me get up on stage. I can try something. They were like, what do you want to do? Like, I had like the Men in Black like soundtrack at the time, and I was like, let me do Men in Black. I could not rap. I could not rap on stage.
Is there video of this?
God, no, because this is pre-cell phone. Like, I bombed up on stage there, and I just to the point where I just handed the microphone back to the guy. I was like, I'm done.
Oh my god!
So that was a failure, but
and we got to shoot. We got to make a video of you singing that song.
Yes, we got to recreate
Oh my
that
God.
shit. I mean, for me, I can't go into a story. There's not a lot of time, but I just say I think I'm very confident in my flight or fight skills.
Yeah.
Like just listening to Brenda's story, I feel like I would have handled that very similarly, and I would have been calm. But afterwards, I'd have been like, I probably would have passed out afterwards after the shit was done. I know there's not much time, Ice, but go ahead if you got anything real quick to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm a father. I didn't know anything about that prior.
That's easy. That is beautiful.
fair.
Fair
You don't need to
point.
say much.
And,
I am
do
a
you
father.
Do you mind saying how old you were when that happened? Or
Yeah, I was 2 days after I turned 17. So.
Wow.
Oh yeah, his
That's
man
a
who was working at
whole-
15.
Yes,
For
it's a
sure.
whole different fucking ball game. Respect to that. Salute
Right.
to that.
Yeah, mad respect, Ice.
All right. I guess we could do. I don't know. What's the time we're at right now, Cam?
We had 101.
Only an hour. Okay. All right. Another question. Can you treat someone nice after they essentially ruin your life? So the witch or whatever pretty much put that on her, and then immediately she was pretty much cool with her. Like
Yeah. That kind of threw me off a lot.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, me personally, for you to turn like I'll just use that example. For you to turn me old, and I know you did it. Like Rob turns me old. I have to get you back first. There's
Right.
no just like,
Fair.
well, let me take care of you. Let me help you up these steps, even though you like a fucking you like a smoothie right now. Like I don't, I'm not gonna sit there and I'm not gonna sit there and just be cool with you. I can't be, and I'm a good-hearted person like the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it like that easy as she did. What about you? How you feel about that, Brandon? It's like you had something on your
Yeah,
mind.
I do. It was interesting for me in the movie specifically because I feel like they had some stress bonding on the steps. Because and then
Fuck
after
yeah.
she got up to what's her name, Sully,
Suleiman. Yeah.
Sulema's
Yeah.
to Sulema's place, and they wheeled in the witch on the cart like as she was like a blob on the ground.
Bro.
It's just like I guess you done been through it too. Yeah,
No,
you
I
done put
don't
me
care.
through some stuff, and I'm not saying like I would empathize or whatever. But it's just like, what else you gonna do to her at that point? You know what I'm saying? Like she's senile now. She's
I would leave
literally
her
a blob
ass.
on the
I-
ground. I probably would have left her.
You
I
gotta
probably
push
would
her
have left
down
her.
them damn steps.
Yeah.
I would have left her.
All right,
I
yeah,
probably would have left her there. But
Yeah.
all I say is like, I don't know. For me, that's a very situational question because
okay.
do they have something that I need to advance that I can legitimately get from them, and that I have to feign niceness to get from them?
Ruined your life, not treated you bad.
Didn't steal something from you and
I'm
sell
saying,
it.
but I'm saying is like you say, can you treat someone nice? And for me, again, it's situational.
Can
Do
you
they-
be nice to your cousin?
If I have seen my cousin since these things have occurred, and I was like, "What's up? I'm happy you're okay," and that was it.
I think the question
Can you
is,
help him?
And
No, like if he's down on his day, if he comes out and moves out to LA and says, "Brendan, I need somewhere to
He
stay,
lives in
or I'm
LA.
gonna be on the street."
He lives in
Oh
LA.
well, if he needed somewhere to stay and said, "I'm gonna either be homeless if I don't stay with you," or you
That's
letting him
actually
stay
how the whole situation happened. So no, he cannot stay with me again.
all right,
with you? Jesus Christ,
Rob ruined your life. 'Cause I
Ruined
think
my
he,
life.
He seems more like just being somebody mad. Ruined
Yeah,
your
it-
actual
No, I mean
life.
I get that, but all I'm saying is situationally. if they have the ability to redeem your life or something that's going to substantially change your life and they have the key to it at that point, I'll be nice for a few minutes to get it back. But if they don't, if they're just on the street, nah, I'm throwing a rock. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, you know? But that's all I'm saying. I think it's very situational.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Like, ruin my life. I can maybe swallow my pride enough to have a short interaction with them, but I'm not helping them with shit. Like, if anything, I'm probably just ignoring that they're there if we ever see each other. Like, I don't have shit to say to you. Like,
yeah.
Because, like, if it does come to an interaction, I can't promise that I would keep my cool.
Yeah, I think at that point, ruining my life, I might get physical.
Yeah.
For the record, I was really, really, really hoping Rob was going to say on site.
He ruins my life. It's on site.
There we go. Woo! Thank you, Rob.
What about you, Ice?
Oh yes, 100%. It's on. We on some Tom and Jerry Transformer shit. I'm fighting you every time I see you. We're fighting. Like, we're fighting
So
until
it's
I get like
Peter Griffin and the chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Every single time. And I'm thinking ruin my life in the highest form, you know, and that can be so many different things. Yeah. So it's like in the highest form, we say ruin my life. It's not like crack my phone or hit my car or something or cheated or something like that. I'm saying like ruin my life. You can let your imagination run wild and think of that. But it's like if you did it to that effect and I run into you, oh, it's smoke.
Yeah,
every time.
I've iced people out for less than ruining my life. Just like totally cut them off. Cut them off.
Exactly.
But
I have a random side note.
Yeah.
Is there a better visual depiction of on site than Family Guy, Peter and the Chicken?
Ooh.
Is there such a thing as
Tom and Jerry got to be the only one, really?
No, because Jerry don't really go for the smoke.
Yeah.
Tom always instigated, but like they're both, and Peter Griffin and the Chicken, like they see each other and they both coming at each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is the most on-site shit I've ever seen.
As soon as they lock eyes, they go.
Spy?
What?
Spy versus Spy?
Spy versus Spy.
Spy
Yeah,
versus Spy, they kind of do it.
Spies.
Yeah, that's original too.
I guess I would say I like the Peter and the Chicken interaction more. It's just funnier.
I might make a GIF out of that or something like that.
It
Like,
exists
the
solely for
definition-
that.
Yeah. It's like literally just you see him like, oh, it's you. And just like, we scrapping.
Yeah,
Like, that's
time
what
to
it
go.
is.
Yeah.
All
I think
right,
that's the number one.
so we got one last question, and we're gonna wrap this part up. Have you ever felt the pressure of doing what other people wanted you to do instead of like living out your dream? Because you know, Sophie, remember they asked her in the movie, she's kind of like, "Well, what do you want to do?" She's like, "I'm just doing whatever, kind of like what my father wanted me to do. So I'm just going to do that." Have you ever felt that like pressure of having it? Because I know for me, my dad was just big on, and I know that generation in general was just like college. College means six figures, and it's like, no, it
Not
doesn't.
as much.
Six figures in debt.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't say which direction.
And it's like, I think we live in that generation where people, and especially our parents, don't ever ask us what we want to do, at least for the most part. They just be like, do this because I know this works somewhat. And I've had that with college, especially. I had to fight to do not necessarily fight, but when I was doing it, it was always that pressure to, get your ass back, stay in school. And my dad was even like, hey, I even give you a little bit of extra money to do some of this stuff. And I was literally mentally tapped out because I spent a whole lot of years in college. That's all I'll say. I spent more.
Did you graduate?
I spent a whole lot of years in college. And I went to 3 different colleges. A JUCO, I transferred to a HBCU, then I transferred back to Cal State Dominguez Hills. And let me tell you something. I was burnt the fuck out.
I fucking bet.
How you feel, Rob? Like,
You know, I've been lucky. My parents are super supportive of what I wanted to do.
well, look at you.
But, like, to that fact, I don't know that because they were just like, it was still a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can move out to LA or New York, do film, whatever, but you should go to school for that.
Right.
And so I did. I don't know if it necessarily would have gone as well as if I was just like, nah, fuck it. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm dropping it and I'm going because I know that's the way. But yeah, no, I've been lucky that I haven't been forced into doing something that I really, really didn't want to do. That it affected my life in a long-term process. I've been super lucky in that regard.
What about you, Ice?
My mom from the get-go has always been supportive. I think where I was trending as far as both with with sports and school, they knew I was going to go. That's always been really my motivation because and they was just like, okay, cool. But I think when I did take that shift and was like, okay, I'm done with track. I just want to fucking tell jokes. And I don't want to even do my degree. I think that took a second for them. My dad more, he was just like, I don't know, but that's what you want to do. But yeah, I think they, for the most part, they were cool with it. I think as a parent now, it's just like my son doesn't want to play basketball. He just want to play football, and that kind of hurts my soul a little bit. But it's like, all right, cool. If that's what, if you want to play football, then you want to play football. And that's,
Nope.
and,
No nerves about him playing football, but like all the injuries and CT.
oh yeah. I think so. He's not hitting until 8th or 9th grade. So he's just gonna play flag. He's playing flag for the next 4 years until.
Oh man, they let me hit in 6th grade. It was horrible.
They had us hitting early.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want him to get like he can't. I don't want him to be soft in the ass. So I mean, I'm gonna let him hit like the grade before high school. But at the same time, I'm gonna save him at least 4 years of just getting taking unnecessary hits.
Yeah. Brennan.
I mean, it's kind of the same, college. But, I mean, for me, my parents were always super supportive, and, like, they indulge all my interests as a kid. It's like, yo, I want to learn karate. Like, all right. Yeah. They would just – but the thing is, like, my parents would always be like, if you say you want to do it and I pay for it, you got to finish whatever I pay for.
Yeah, very similar situation.
Yeah. So I did a lot of things. Like, I had tennis lessons, swimming lessons, like, all these other things. But, like, for me, like, when I went to college, like, it wasn't so much like – I had to go to college. My dad was like, yo, I don't care what you do, but you ain't going to live here, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that was the option too.
Unless you have a plan, So he's like, what's your plan? I'm like, I don't know the plan they give us is college. And then I got an academic scholarship and graduated in under 4 years, so
Yeah. Brag on that. I mean, you should be bragging about that. That's dope.
Good for you, man.
No, I will say the reason I graduated so quickly, not even just to talk shit, wasn't because I was good at school. I graduated with like a 3.1, like nothing super impressive. I graduated because the only reason I went to college was so that I could look all my family members in the eyes and tell them to shut up if they try to tell me anything about what I was doing with my life. No, I'm serious, because everybody has opinions about what you should do.
Absolutely.
Blah, blah, you should go here, you should go there. I'm like, look, I got my degree in under 4 years. I got my 4-year degree in the sciences. Yeah. Y'all shut up. I'm going to do what I want now. And then I moved to LA.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's the thing for me, too, especially about college. It's like I tell people I got a master's in fucking political science, and they like, well,
hey,
what
that
do
was
you
my
do?
minor.
And then, and they like, well, what do you do? And it's like, I tell jokes and fucking sell shoes.
Yeah.
And they like, and they like
Al
wait,
Bundy. And I mean, for my dad, not to throw him under the bus like that, because my dad did support us in the sense of like, especially sports and stuff like that. So just for school in that sense. But I mean, that pretty much wraps up the question portion of what we do, man.
That was fun.
Yeah, I had a good time with that, man.
I feel like they know more about us in that session than they ever did in 100 episodes.
That might be true.
Yeah, definitely. But now we're gonna move on to close it out, man. We're gonna give our ratings and how we feel about it. This anime. Go ahead first, Rob.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was really disappointed by this movie. I'd seen a couple Studio Ghibli films before. Obviously, Princess Mononoke, I think, has our only perfect rating on this show ever.
Yeah.
So I was coming in hyped for this, and just left really underwhelmed. I liked the first half hour of it, and then I felt like it just didn't follow through on any of the promise. I wish they had kept the Witch of the Waste as the main antagonist instead of switching it up. I wish they would have given us a reason why this war was happening in the background until, they didn't give us that until literally the last minute. I don't know why these sides are fighting. And I just wasn't really compelled by any of the characters except maybe Calcifer. So it is visually impressive. The sound and the music were pretty good. I don't think I could recommend it, though. I don't think I would recommend it to anybody. And for all the story problems that I had with it, I can't really give it higher than a 4,800.
4,800. Okay. Ice.
Yeah. I think the sound and the animation saved this for me. I mean, and the best way to say it is kind of how Rob put it, just like payoff, set up and payoff. It's like, it was hard to see almost any of that. It's just like a continuous I felt like I was jumping into a story that had already been told prior to. Like, this was like the third part of a story that had already been going on. And it's just like, and you just kind of had to figure it out. Like, the war already happened, this already happened and stuff. And it's just like, oh, all right, now you're into the third part of it. So I think with that being said, it didn't feel like a movie. It didn't feel like a movie. It just felt like a part of, like, the third part of a 5-part series or something. Which in that case, I would have probably received it a lot better. But from a movie standpoint, I just didn't enjoy it. I think if I were to recommend this, I would recommend it to somebody. Hey, you ever seen Christian Bale do animation? like do do voiceover work? Here, like that would be the only way I would recommend this to anybody. And honestly, Studio Ghibli as a whole, I think, and I know people gonna get on me for that, but I don't think Studio Ghibli really puts out fire like that. Outside of Princess Mononoke, you think of the other stuff, My Neighbor Totoro.
Wait, have you seen Spirited Away?
Yeah, it's kind of like Rob said. It's just so far off that it's like I can't.
Oh, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. My Neighbor Totoro, what trash. I
wanted to watch the floating one, the Floating Fortress.
Yeah, I've seen that one, and it's just like I don't know. I think Studio Ghibli, and I think we talked about this before too, is that it's the equivalent of like a Disney. So maybe we're too old to enjoy Studio Ghibli movies, and that might be the case. But overall, I give it a 4,500.
Okay, Brandon.
I think I didn't hate this movie as much as you guys did. I did love Calcifer. I love the animation style. The story wasn't really all that invigorating. But for me, I was really taken away by the world building. I loved the world that they were in. I loved the magical door that they had to go in and out of. I actually really liked Howl in the sense of just how unique of a character he was.
He was smooth as fuck.
That's what I'm saying. He was super smooth, but also just like a nasty monster, but also like a smooth criminal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was just like all the things. He had all these alter egos. I just found the idea of Howl to be pretty dope. I actually wish that there was more of Howl in the movie. Like, if Howl was the protagonist of the movie, I think this movie would have been a whole different experience. Can you imagine, like, watching the prequel to this? Like, Howl's times with the wizard that I can't say their name.
Oh, Suleiman and
like Suleiman and Howl with like they're in the time of the Witch of the Waste when like he fell for her when after that. I think that story right there as a movie would have been ridiculous. You know, and how the Witch of the Waste got to where she was, how he got to the part where he was just on the run, and that's how that movie ends, with just him running. You know, and then meeting Calcifer. But all that to say is, like, my favorite part of the movie actually wasn't the visuals. It wasn't the audio, which I think technically that's the only reason I would introduce this movie to anybody is if I want to get into animation or I want to do sound design, I need to get some things to study. I'd be like, yo, that's a good one.
Here's the goat.
You should go study that and what they did, but, you know, you're not a writer, right? Just an animator. Yeah, you should look at that one. So for me, I give it like a 5,200.
What was the part that you said that was your favorite?
My favorite part was actually them climbing the steps.
Yeah.
The climbing the steps part meant a lot because our protagonist thought that she had Howl in her arms the whole time. She was carrying this heavy ass, lazy, weirdly coughing instead of barking dog up these steps, which is the only reason she struggled. While her nemesis, the one that cursed her, is next to her, struggling for her life. That she ends up cheering on at the end. Like, I feel like could be symbolic for a lot of things in the way that we approach life, or way you might wish you did approach life sometimes. So for me, I feel like I could watch that scene in particular a lot of times and get something out of it every time I see it. And I think this is a movie I could watch again and maybe see in a different perspective now, knowing why the war was happening, which they did mention earlier in the film, by the way. They did mention
in the alley.
Yeah, they did mention in the alley, the people in the background were talking and said, hey, like, it's about to go down. This war's happening because, you know, they can't find the prince and they think the other side took the prince.
I missed that scene entirely, and I watched the movie twice.
Yeah, they definitely said it.
It was right in the alley, but I feel like something like that they should.
It was like background stuff.
Like
they made it passive. But I was reading the subtitles.
I specifically went back to look for it and didn't see
it. But
if you say it's there, if two of you say it's there, I believe you. I believe you.
So either way,
two of the guards were talking to each other.
So yeah, 5,200 with a curiously rewatchability that I think will be weird. I don't know why. I would watch this again with an altered mind if I was to watch it again.
I did like the scene after that with when Hal pulled up and then the real dude pulled up. I like that too, because he was like, "Oh, you made another."
Oh, the king.
Oh
yeah. And he was like, "Oh, you made another one of me." Okay, and then he left, and he was like, "God damn, my cover is blown."
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
For me, I like Calcifer, the fire.
Yeah, Calcifer was lit.
See what I did there?
Anybody?
That was nice. every scene that he wasn't in was dreadful. Like it was hard for me to watch. The animation was, top notch. No.
So you didn't like the step scene?
The step scene was, I guess, one of the more comical parts because it's just her visually.
So
It had that
comical.
same energy, that like fight scene from They Live. You ever see that where those two guys just go into an alleyway and just beat the fuck out of each other for like 10 straight minutes? They're just like until they're totally out of breath.
Right, and it's just, but this right here, that if that's your saving grace scene for an animation, that's horrible. Like the step scene when they walked up the steps. If you tell somebody that, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's the best scene in the movie. Are you serious? Yeah. To me, I actually like the little. What's his name? The little boy's name? I forgot his name.
Markle.
I had no issues with him.
I just wish they did something more with him because, like,
right.
I thought because he's like, oh, I got to train my magic.
Right.
I thought he was going to do something dope at the end of the movie, but
Side
he's not
note,
there to do anything.
Marco was a love interest of our protagonist in the novel and was older.
So and that's my thing.
God, that
Once-
makes so much more sense.
Once
I was saving that, by the way. I
Once-
knew where I was gonna do.
once
that.
Brandon started to point out the differences between the novel and
He's so
the
mad.
animation, I was just like, all right,
Look
they
how mad Rob is.
clearly missed a whole bunch of stuff, and they still made it 2 hours, which was horrible. I literally watched this movie the first hour. I was like, I gotta go to the store.
Yeah.
I was at the store for 2 hours, and then I came back. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta watch the last hour of this movie. So for me personally, I wasn't really feeling it. I give this a 3100. Almost gave it a 2900.
Damn.
I can see that.
I was very upset at
Not knocking it.
Ice and Brennan for being like.
For the
"Hey,
record,
let's watch
I did not
this,
bring up
guys."
this movie. I did not bring up this movie.
Yeah, I agreed to it though.
Yeah, I didn't
You
know
did.
it.
I didn't
knew
agree
all
to
I
it.
knew was Studio Ghibli. That's
You
all I
said-
knew.
What was the other movie you recommended? You
The
said
Floating Fortress.
The Floating Fortress.
Yeah, I still want to
And
see that.
then Ice said this one.
He said this one instead, and I was
then
just
you
like,
were
sure,
oh, yeah,
whatever.
That's perfect. That's fine. It's Studio
I was like,
Ghibli.
it's Studio
I trust
Ghibli.
it.
So look, my trust in Studio Ghibli's quality has been eroded.
Shaken.
Yeah,
Has been
yeah,
shaken.
that's
But I
why-
still want to see the Floating Fortress. I didn't bring up this. I didn't know this movie existed before Ice brought it up. So, and I didn't watch anything. I was like, whatever. It's another Studio Ghibli movie.
I
Yeah.
watched the trailer. And
Yo,
said
I don't-
in the
nobody
group-
cares about your trailer
I
reviews.
I watched the trailer and I said, yo, I'm letting y'all know this looks ass. Are y'all sure? I gave them an out.
So, Blades of the Immortal. Did you watch the trailer?
But
And what did you say?
But Blaze-
What did you say after
least-
watching the
at
trailer?
least-
What
At
did you
least-
say?
At least we got 2 hours. 2 hours of that
Let me
one.
finish
We
talking.
had to do
At the end of the
26
day,
episodes
Blades of
Blades
the Immortal had highs and lows. It had moments that were like, "Oh, this was pretty cool." That was,
And
there
it
was
lasted
no
how
pretty-
many weeks?
There was no pretty cool in this whole thing.
5 weeks of episodes
So
from your trailer watch.
because seasons are 24, 12. It does. What
Timer
happens,
went
bro.
off.
It didn't go off. You're just mad because
You ain't
you're
shit.
a part of this.
Because
At
you
the
over
end
here,
of the day.
the trailer, like your trailer assertions of what's good ain't shit.
How
Have
is
you
it
ever
not
seen
shit?
Entourage?
How's it not shit? What are you
Have you
talking
seen
about?
Entourage? You know what I'm talking about? The trailer where they made the movie and the trailer was
Medellin?
fire and the movie
Yes,
was
I
trash.
understand
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't trust anything from a trailer.
At the end of the day,
Blades of
this-
Immortal was
this
trash
look-
and the trailer was dope.
This looked like nothing that I would ever want to watch. On top of that, it looked trash. So you have two of those things, and all I asked was for them. I asked them to make sure. So I was hoping that
How
they
we gonna
would
make
look.
sure?
So
Right.
I was
What
hoping
we
they
supposed to
would-
do?
I was hoping they would at least look at the trailer, but they said no. We're gonna trust Studio
I'm
Ghibli.
happy we watched
Went
it.
with our
And
gut.
they have one, to me, so far that I've seen from them, one fire movie, which is classic, Princess Mononoke.
And you still
right
haven't
now-
seen Spirited Away. You still haven't seen Ponya. You still haven't seen The Floating Fortress.
Oh, I see Paprika, which was,
Not Studio Ghibli,
different.
was it?
was
Not
not Studio
Studio
Ghibli.
No, that's
No,
not
it
Studio
wasn't.
Ghibli.
Oh,
They
my
were
That
gonna
bad.
was
make a
fucking
movie
weird.
like that.
That was wild.
Anyways, that's my score, 3,100. Let us know where we can find you guys at, Brennan.
Hey, at Mr. Producer Face. That's my Cash App too.
All right. Rob,
At RV Danger on Instagram.
Ice.
Quick question: Am I saying what we watching next, or are we doing another?
Oh yeah. We'll get
Yeah.
to that. You can go ahead. You can go ahead and give your pick while you.
Oh, I lied.
close
My
it out.
Cash App is Lando Swaggins.
Yeah,
What?
you don't deserve
Hilarious.
Cash App.
You know,
Hilarious.
yo, I'm so glad the camera's on Rob's face. He was so over that. He was so, he was so mad. He was like, really, really.
I got a kick out of it though. I mean, it hit me hard at first, but
Yeah.
it won me over.
Go ahead, Ice. Drop your stuff. And then go ahead and drop your pick after.
Ice McGowan. And then we're watching Parasite the Maximum is the next show. That we're gonna
Parasite
watch.
the Maximum. Haven't seen that. Has anybody else seen that here?
No. Is that have anything to do with the movie Ice?
No. No.
Okay. I've heard.
Where can we watch it?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Dope. And Parasite, is it? That's the same thing, right? Does people call it Parasite, or they call it?
Yeah,
is it
people call it Parasite. Yeah, it's the
I've
same
heard
thing.
pretty decent things about that. So
Cool.
I'm interested.
Oh, it's horror.
Yep.
Oh, you know, Britain's
Oh,
scared.
Brandon.
I gotta watch it during the daytime, guys.
I'm such a little bitch.
Thank
Cut
you
all
for
the
tuning in to
lights
another
on.
episode.
All right, so my stuff is Keenan Baker on every single thing, man. And let us know what y'all think about the new format. I had a good time. I enjoyed it today. This is what we're gonna probably be doing going forward. So yeah, Keenan Baker on every single thing. Let us know in the comment section what you thought of How the Moving Castle. If you had a better,
The moving?
I don't know. That's what it's called, right?
No, you said I'm just being stupid. Go ahead. You heard me. Okay,
Yeah,
that was dumb. I'm sorry. Please
being
continue.
dumb.
Howl's Moving Castle, whatever. But I had to shut the fuck up, Brendan. Like I'm just
Lando swagging.
Lando
Orlando
swagging.
Swaggin'.
Let us know y'all think in the comment section, man, and we
Let
appreciate
us know
y'all.
what you think of that name. Shit.
Yeah, and then with Brendan's Cash App name, and we appreciate y'all every single week for staying with us and sticking with us, man. And thank y'all for tuning into another episode of Animeshun. We out.
Peace.
And so anime was solved forever.